this means the f of g x. So this means I want the function of g of x. Now you remember from the 10th grade, if I gave you this, x plus 2, f of x equaled x plus 2, and I told you I wanted the f of 2, x is now a 2, so what would I write there? 2. We all remember that from the 10th grade, yes? Well, this is the same thing. I want the f of the g of x. This is the g of x. So I want the f of x minus 2. Now the f function is x squared plus 3. The x is now x minus 2. So what do I put there? X minus 2. X minus 2 squared plus 3. Now that looks awfully like what form? Vertex form. It looks so much like vertex form that it indeed is vertex form. So now you can tell me the coordinates of the graph, of the vertex of this. What is it? So that's A is answered right there. B, what is this vertex? He waited patiently. 2, 3. Everybody good? But then there's more to B. There's a third function. Function H is formed by translating. What does that mean in math? What does it mean in English? What does it mean in any language? If I'm going to translate, what does that mean? If I'm going to translate do this math into Portuguese, what am I doing? I'm changing the words to Portuguese words. So translating a parabola in math must be changing that parabola, yes? By how many spaces? 5 units in the positive x direction, which is what direction? Right. And 2 units in the negative y direction, which is what direction? Down. So this vertex is going to move where? 5 positive on the x. So what happens to 2? We add 5. Yeah. And what happens to 3? We minus 2. So now we have a new function, don't we? H of x is x. What's 2 plus 5? So how would I write that as a vertex? X minus 7 squared. And what's my new y? What's 3 minus 2? 1. So how do I put that as a vertex? Plus or minus? Plus 1. That is my new function. In C, I want this in general form. What is the difference between what's yellow and what's green? Pardon me? The form it's in. If I can make this green one look like this yellow one, am I in business? Yeah. How would I do that? Pardon me? Not factor. You solve this, right? You expand this. So you would get hx equals, expand this, x squared minus 14x plus 49 plus 1. Now what?
Plus 1 and 3.
Collect your like terms. That is C. And finally, D, what is the y-intercept? The y-intercept is 0, comma y, correct? Well, the x's are zeros, right? 0, 0, plus 50. What's the y-intercept? 50. So the only thing that you really should have had trouble there was maybe you didn't remember how to read this. And that's on me. I should have reminded you that before I handed it out for homework. That's foolish of me to think that you guys would remember that from grade 10. And that's on me, not you. Everybody cool? All right. Let's turn your page over. And let's fill this whole sheet in. Then I'm going to give you a couple of minutes to look at it, talk to your neighbor, do a question or two that you didn't bother to do from homework. Then we're going to have our quiz. Okay? The quiz is about everything on this page. Okay. What is standard form? What does it look like? ax squared plus bx plus c. Right? Right? Okay. What does this tell us immediately? It tells us two things as soon as we look at it. Deepinder, give me one of them. You're Lucas. He's Deepinder. That's okay, buddy. You're both right. You said it together. You should say jinx now. 1, you get the y-intercept. Which of those letters is the y-intercept? Y-intercept is C. Why? Right. Because, x is 0 at the y-intercept. So I would sub 0 in, 0, 0, and I'm left with C. That's the first thing it tells us immediately, without even thinking. It also tells us something else. What else does it tell us without even thinking? Yeah, it tells us if it is this, then what up here? Pardon me? The first one is positive. A is greater than 0. Right? If it's this, A is less than 0. Right? And that's everything we know from looking at it. But there's some other stuff that we can get from it. For example, if it's this, do I have a maximum or a minimum?
Minimum.
That's a minimum. If I have this, it's a maximum. Now, can any of you think of anything else that form will tell me if I don't touch it at all? Or is that it? 30 brains. Just think for a second. If I do no more math, can I get any more information out of that form? It's a yes or no question. Damaris. You get the stretch out of that form, yes. How? A is going to be the stretch. But you don't know for sure exactly what the stretch is without doing more math. So you will indeed, if there is an A value there, you've got to be cognizant of the possibility of a stretch. But you don't know it until you do more math. You understand what I'm saying? It's kind of a gray area there. Is there anything else this tells me exactly without doing any more math? He waited patiently. I have to do more math to get the roots. It's done, right? Now, we can now do 4 things to this to find more information. What is one of the things we could do to it? We could quadratic formula. And what would that give me? The roots. Will the quadratic formula always work? Yes. But it requires a lot of very picky arithmetic, yes? Okay. What's another thing we could do to it? Pardon me? I could complete the square. And what will that do for me? Completing the square can get me the vertex form. What else could I do to it? Maybe I could factor it, which would also get me the roots. What else could I do to it? There's one other thing I can do, and I showed it to you 3 or 4 pages ago. It's an option to completing the square. Damaris. Right. Not quite, but that move. The vertex x is negative b divided by 2a. And then you could take that x value and sub back in for the vertex y value. Is everybody cool? Now, what will work better for you? Do you want to do one of these right now and then talk about vertex, then do a vertex, and then talk about factored? Or do you want to go through this whole page and then do examples? If we do, personally, I like to do the whole page and then throw up an example, and then you decide which of those 3 you're going to use. That's how I would do this if I were you. Is that okay with everyone? All right. So, our next one. Vertex form. What does it look like? X minus p squared plus q, right? And don't forget there's an a there. What does that tell us immediately? Right. It gets us the vertex, yes? The vertex is p, q. Except, what do you got to remember? P is opposite sign. Right? Because it says negative p. Right? What else does it tell us immediately? Same as something from the first one. It will tell us the stretch, but more importantly than the stretch, because it's the same as the first one, it tells us this move, yes? It tells us this again, and the max and the min, right? And this one tells us the third thing, as Louis just said, it actually gives us the stretch right away. If a is greater than 1, what will happen to my parabola? Will it go narrow or wide? Narrow. If a is greater than 1, it's going to stretch vertically. Right? If a is between negative 1 and 1, what's going to happen to it? Is it going to stretch vertically, horizontally, or nothing? Horizontally, it's going to do this. And if a is less than negative 1, it's going to stretch vertically. Does everybody understand that one? Because these are fractions, aren't they? But once I pass 0, or once I pass 1, I'm stretching. Yeah? Okay. And what is the math we can do to the vertex form? So 1 p plus q divided by 2 gives me what?
Vx.
It gives me the vertex x, and it gives me the axis of symmetry. Right? What else can I do from that?
You can take this value and put in the equation to find it. You put the y.
Right. That I can sub in for Vy. And there's one other thing I can do. What can I do if I expand this? What do I get? Right. I can expand to standard form. And if I expand to standard form, that gets me all these benefits from standard form. Does everybody understand? Everyone's cool? Sweet. And the last one. Factored form. La la la. What's factored form look like? F of x equals a
Bracket x minus p, bracket x minus q.
minus p, x minus q. Now, hey Lucas, is that the same as this? Not quite. But the theory is the same, right? Because you know this is your vertex, yeah? Right? Can my vertex give me the Vx? But not p plus q minus 2. The Vx is pq will give me my Vx, right? When do I do the p plus q minus 2? That's down here. Okay? So let's come over to here. Does this tell me anything immediately? It gives me the roots. How?
X minus p equals 0.
X minus p would equal 0, and x minus q would equal 0. So x always equals p, and x always equals q. What does that tell you? That sign opposite, right? That's my roots. What else does it give me right away? Does it still give me A? Yep, it still gives me that or that from A. Right? And what's the third thing it'll give me right away without even looking? No, I got to do math to do that.
This stretch.
When I do math, I get Vx, don't I? Because it's P plus Q over 2. Right? And then 2, I can get my Vy by subbing Vx back in. Is everybody... Yes, Damaris. Yeah. From this number. These, the roots, P and Q. So, are we ready to try some of these? Now, once again, let's find a good question here. So I'm going to write a question. I would recommend you have a piece of paper, some white space on your book somewhere where you can work out one of these. All right. Let's try this one. No, that's not. Yeah. We'll graph But remember, when we graph, we're just going to sketch and label the points, yes? Let's graph negative x squared minus 5x minus 4. What form is that one in? Standard, yes? So, we can use our whole first box, yeah? All right, so what does that tell us now? What do I know? The y-intercept is negative 4, so I can go on to here and I can put a dot right there at 0, negative 4. Nice job, Jaskarn. What else do I know? I know, is it positive or negative? Negative. So I know it's got to go up from here, yes? So now I know it's going up. What else do I know? Right away, anything? I don't know anything, do I? Could it go this way? We don't even know which way it's going here, do we? All we know is it's going up from there. So now we got to do some math, yes? What math do you want to do? You had 4 choices. Does it factor? It factors. Could I do this? Y equals negative x squared plus 5x plus 4. Is that cool? That covers my negative stretch now, right? So now I know it's 1. Right? So is my parabola changing? If I go up 4, I got to go left or right. How far? 2. So I know that my vertex is either going to be at what or what? Okay, good. So what should I do here? What's that? X plus 4 and x plus 1, yes? Does that give me my roots?
Yeah.
What are my roots?
Plus 4.
No.
Negative 4.
Negative 4
And negative 1.
and negative 1. So now I know which way my parabola is going, yes? I know it's got to go up and hit negative 1, and I know it's got to come down through negative 4. What's the only thing missing? Vertex. Can I find the vertex here? I can, can't I? The vertex x is negative 4 plus negative 1 divided by 2, isn't it? Which is what? Negative 5 halves, correct? Is that an x or a y value? So where would it go? It would go in for the x's, yes? So that y is going to equal negative 5 halves plus 4 is 8 halves, correct? Everyone agree? And negative 5 halves plus 1 is 2 halves, yes? So what is negative 5 plus 8? 3 halves. And what's negative 5 plus 2? Negative 3 halves, yes? What's 3 halves times negative 3 halves? Negative 9 fourths. What is negative 9 fourths? Positive 9 fourths. So my vertex now lives at negative 5 halves and positive 9 fourths, which is a little bit more than 2 and 2.5, correct? So right in the middle, a little bit more than 2. There's my drawing. Is everybody good from standard form? Everybody? Are we ready to try another one? See if I can find another question in here that works nicely. Let's do... Do I need to do a quadratic formula one? That's just following the quadratic formula. You don't have to memorize it. I give it to you on every quiz. Is everyone cool with that? Can I leave that one alone? Okay, let's try... I'd like to find one. All right, let's try this one. That's all on the video, so you don't have to worry about it. Let's try... Let's try this. X squared minus 21 equals negative 10x. Is that in any form we know? Yes or no? No, but it's real close to 1, isn't it? What's it real close to? It's real close to standard. Could we make it standard form?
Yeah.
How? What would move?
Negative 10x.
So I'd get x squared plus 10x minus 21 equals y, correct?
Yes.
Now we're in standard form. So I know a bunch of stuff, don't I?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I factor it? I can?
Yeah.
How? 7 and 3?
Yeah.
Wouldn't one of them have to be negative?
Yeah.
I cannot factor it, can I? So I know all the stuff I know. What do I know right now? I think to myself, there's my thought bubble. What do I know right now? I know that it is... What do I know about the drawing? What do I know about the graph? It's positive. And, Jaskaran, what do I know about the y-intercept? Is negative 21. I know those two things, yes? Does it have a stretch?
No.
No. So I know if I find the vertex, I can go over 1, up 1, over 2, up, 4, over 3, up, over 4, up. Okay, so I know that too, that it's a regular y equals x squared parabola, yes? I know all of that from just looking at it, yeah? Now, it looks factorable. We fooled Lucas because 7 and 3, but it's not factorable, is it? So what are my options? If I'm from Brazil, what am I automatically doing right now? Quadratic formula, right? Everybody can do that because it always works. I am comfortable with completing the square as well. So I am going to complete the square. Why? What about this makes it a good candidate for completing the square? 10 divides by 2, doesn't it? So if I had left it, if I go this way, x squared plus 10x equals 21. What's going here? 25. What's going here? What do I got to add to this side? 25. Now I got x squared plus, not x squared, you idiot, x plus 5 squared equals 46, yes? What is that now? Almost. Isn't that almost vertex form? What would make it vertex form? X plus 5 squared minus 46. Now, can I graph? Where's my vertex? Negative 5 and negative 46, yes? Everyone agrees? I know another point on here, don't I? What? Negative 21. 0, negative 21. Right? which is, makes sense, over 5 up 25, yeah? Once I have my vertex and I know there's no stretch, I can do all the other points, can I? Because I know that this to the axis of symmetry is 5, correct? Well, what's got to be over here at the same y value? How far is this? 5. So I went 5 to the left from negative 5, so what's this point? Negative 5 and negative 5, which is? Negative 10. And now I've got my parabola, don't I? Everybody cool? That was going that way. Now, if we did quadratic formula, that's going to get me my roots, isn't it? And when you do that, right here, you're going to get roots of, have you done it, Lucas? Please say yes.
Yeah.
What are the roots?
-7 and -3.
-7 and -3.
Yeah, but I think I did it.
I think you did that poorly.
Yeah, I did.
Did anybody else do the quadratic formula? All you Brazil people that have been doing the quadratic formula the whole time didn't do it this time? You're killing me. You're killing me. Okay. But if you did it, you would get two numbers, yeah? One would be positive, one would be negative. Right? And we'd be good. Everybody okay? Should we do one more? What haven't we done? We haven't done factored form. Yeah, we did. The first question we did factored form because it factored. So we haven't done an exclusively quadratic formula one, have we? Can we do which? I could, but I was going to give you one with like decimals that we have to use our calculator for. No? We can do this one. Cool, no problem. So quadratic formula, negative b plus or minus the root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So here it is. What's a? A equals 1, b equals 10, c equals negative 21, right? So come to here. Negative b, so that's negative 10 plus or minus the square root of 100 minus 4 times 1 times negative 21 over 2, right? Negative 10 plus or minus 100. 4 times 21 is 84, right? So that's plus or minus the root of 100 minus 84, yeah? Which is 16 over 2, which is negative 10 plus or minus 4 over 2, which is negative 3 or negative 7. Yeah, where did I go wrong here? Yeah, of course. It's adding. It's 184. Doofus head. Right. Square root of 184 is what? Doesn't exist, does it? So we could break it down, right? 184 is 92 times 2. 184 is 92, 241. And then I got to stop, right? So it's negative 10 plus, oh no, not 92, 46. Then 2 again, which is 23. And then I got to stop. Right? Out comes a pair of 2's, and I left 46 under there over 2. Simplify, negative 5 plus or minus root 46. Yeah? So those are my roots. Can I do this on a graph? No, I got to go to decimals now, don't I? So now I know my roots are negative 5 plus, now the square root of 46 is approximately what? It's a little less than 7, yeah? Right? So it would be negative 5 plus whatever, 6.8, right? Everybody happy with that? So I'd have a dot at around 1.8. And it's negative 5 minus 6.8, which would be negative 11.8. This dot out here would be negative 11.8, right? Then I could use my calculator to add those two numbers, divide by 2, and get my x value. Everybody cool? And then we quadratic formula the same thing. Is everybody good? Quiz time. It's only 10 questions. It's all multiple choice. Oh, I lie. There's 3 fill in the blank. But it's only fill in the blank.
Like a word?
Yes, one word. Everybody ready? Do you want to practice one by yourself? If I put one up, do you want to practice one by yourself? You don't? Okay, let's do this thing.